So I quickly want to show you how the app works. Now bear in mind the idea of this app is that we take a simplified and stripped down version of the curriculum and we provide it to the students in such a way that they can access it anytime, any place, anywhere. The idea is they can use it on their phone or on their laptop, and it must be like minimal data use. It must be very low data intensive. So we're looking at 3-4 megs of data maximum in terms of downloading some of the curriculum stuff. And on top of that, it has to have strong feedback loops which continuously tell the student whether they're doing it right or wrong, and we get that information back and we can track and see how they're doing. So let's use an example over here. Let's go to learning. Now what I want to talk about is we've also got a baseline learning theory which we're working with, which is basically variation theory. Which what you do is you set up some very basic concepts, you make sure that people understand the differences between those concepts, and then you slowly but surely work with the similarities and the contrasts between things so the students get a grasp of it. So now here you can see we've got a number of different topics, and you can see how it's set up. You've got knowing how, knowing it, knowing that. Then you've got combining know-how with knowing it, combining knowing it with knowing that, combining knowing how with knowing that, and then you've got the HIT model, a simple model which works with all three together. Now the key thing when you're working with it is, so let's click on it just to take a look at what it looks like. What is learning how? So now what you can see is the learner or the student will get on their cell phone a small piece of content which they can read and work with, which is simply explained and gets the basics of what knowing how is. And then over here you can see a whole bunch of questions which we've set up which kind of try and help things along. So we can do, and you can see you can do multiple choice, fill in the blank, choose one, etc, etc, etc. So let's just use a couple of examples of that. So here you've got the what is know-how. Now there's two parts to it. On the one side you can see what the learning designer works with, and there you can see they can choose between practice exercises and tests. They can choose between different types of questions, and then basically all you do is you fill in what the heading is, you choose how you're going to do it, and then once that's done it comes out for the student in the bottom section over there. What is know-how is the question. Choose the right phrase for the sentence below. Someone who knows how to do something really well can do it only at one time, only at one way, at different times, in different circumstances. Know-how, they'll have read it in there, they'll have worked out what it is. If they think it's that and they put it in and you mark it, it's wrong, you try again. Notice that the sequence that's changed at different times, in different circumstances. Hallelujah, there it is. So that's the baseline of it. And then what happens is slowly but surely the students have a chance to check out their understanding, check out their knowledge, and do it in a very, very simple way which still gives them all sorts of feedback on it as they go along. Now obviously what you want to do is you want to make sure that you combine it with some more fun stuff. You've got to be very careful, for example, about giving some interesting examples. So over here I've got May for Maralise as an example, because how do you know about riding a bicycle, for example? So here you can decide to go slightly more intensive, and we've got watch the video with the following link. They can click on it, and the question is, Maralise was able to get on the bike, turn the pedals and ride the bike, but then rode straight into a rugby post and could not change her steering or use her brakes. Does that mean she knows how to ride a bike? Okay, so we're asking those kinds of questions as we do it. Now importantly, what you can then do is you start to combine the different things to try and make sure that they get an understanding of what's going, and eventually you want them to get to a point where they're working synthetically with all the different types of knowledge in a way which they understand what everyone is, what every single one is, how they contrast and how they combine. So it's very simple learning philosophy, and there it is. And then what you make sure you do, and so we'd finally build to a kind of a more summative exercise which uses a real actual TVET piece of information or some artifact. In this case it's the story about what the centers of specialization actually are. I've put it in, I've filled in all the things on it, I've decided to do a mix and match story. and I've combined that over here. You can see this is the technical details of it. You put in what the options are over there, you put in the answers over there, and you give the correlations of how they work together. Now once that's done, the person can do it. They read the actual piece, they can see it, or they can get it online, and then what happens is there's a paragraph in that which gets them to work with that, and you ask, what does it work? And over here you've got to actually try and answer it. Technical education, is that knowing it? Simulated practice, practical training, which one of the three is it? Authentic work experience, which one is it? So technical education, if you've done the course, you'll know that that's knowing that. Simulated practical training is knowing how to get to do things, and then when you go and do it at work, you know how to do it, you check it, that's right. All of that's recorded for the student. The student knows where they are, they know how much they've done, they know how much they've still got to do. It's all in the system and built in. And that's the baseline of the app that we're working on for our TVET students.